Welcome to the Madison Miller podcast. Tonight's guest, it's been on before. He does a lot of different things. You can see his content all over. It's Julian Guilarte. How are you doing on this fine Wednesday evening?
Thanks for having me, Madison. And pretty good. We're winding down the regular season, trying to see if the Yankees win 100 games with 3 innings left. It is meaningless, obviously, for the most part. Everything's set with the playoffs, but I'm doing good. I'm looking forward to the show. And speaking of playoffs, I know we have a lot of fun games to discuss.
Oh, yeah. So, as I mentioned to you before we started recording, I had James Celestin on last night as we did my greatest 5 Knicks wins over the last 15 years in each the regular season and the postseason. I'm going to have you do the Yankees because we're both big Yankee fans, and I think you fit the Yankees best in terms of like fandom and everything, and you cover
Thank
baseball,
you.
so I had to pick you for the Yankees. So, want to
I
start with the
appreciate
postseason
that.
or the regular season?
How many? We're gonna do. Let's start with the regular season, then we end with a bang with the playoffs.
Okay. So the regular season list I think is more interesting because there's so many great Yankee regular season wins, I think. And there's a lot of great playoff wins over the last 15 years as well, but the regular season one, there are some good ones and a lot of forgotten games. My number 5 on the regular season list, I'm going to go from 5 to 1. So my number 5 on this list, 2009 walk-off, the most unexpected walk-off ever. Luis Castillo drops the ball. I had to put it on there. I know it's kind of a dig at the Mets, but I'll never forget that in terms of how unexpected that was. That had to make the list for me.
Yeah, so for this list, we're doing what, 5 or 10 for each? How are we working this?
5 regular season, 5 playoffs.
All right, yeah, that's an interesting one. That one kind of gets lost in the wayside for me. I think that's just when the new stadium opens. I think it's a good one, though. I mean, it really is a crazy ending, and you never expected it. And it's just funny because we know that the Mets are really down right now, so taking another ticket that right now feels kind of cheap, but it's definitely necessary.
Oh my goodness, I just got a text from a friend that Meredith's doing play-by-play right now. Oh my goodness. I didn't even realize she was actually doing it because
I tweeted about it. I definitely enjoyed it.
I had it on before I called you, and I thought she was just doing like a reporting and stuff, and I didn't know she was doing play-by-play. That's so funny.
Oh, she's doing pretty well. I mean, I enjoyed it. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, that's so funny. I had to bring that up real quick. All right, number 4 on the list. I was at this game. It was an emotional game for me. My favorite Yankee ever, Derek Jeter. Final game at Yankee Stadium, hits the walk-off single against the Orioles. That had to be on the list.
Oh, 100%. I'm surprised you have it higher. I know we have some good ones, but you can't ignore the Jeter game, obviously.
Yeah, the reason why I had it lower is because the Yankees were out of postseason contention, and it was a meaningful game for the Orioles.
Yeah.
It was a meaningful game for the Orioles because they were playing for home field advantage in the American League. But I had that ahead of Luis Castillo drops the ball only because the Jeter game, it was big for the Orioles, and it was Derek Jeter's last game, and then Castillo dropping the ball is kind of like a gift because it was against the Mets. So I had to include Castillo in there, and then Jeter final walk-off I have at 4. Now I was at that game. I'll never forget it. David Robertson with the best blown save in Major League Baseball history.
Yeah, you're really lucky you got to be there. That's special. That's probably one of the better games you could attend. But yeah, I like those 2 in there. It's tough to keep those off. I'm looking forward to the top 3 for sure.
All right, number 3, personal memory for me because I was at this game. It was my first game at the new stadium. It was a 14-inning win over the Athletics in a game which they were trailing in the 13th inning. Oakland scored, I want to say, it was a 5-5 game going to extras. Oakland scored 4 runs in the top of the 13th. Yankees come back, and Ibanez ties the game in the bottom of the 13th at 9-9. And then the Yankees won on a walk-off E3 by Eduardo Nunez. It was a big game for them at the time, 2012. They were on the verge of blowing the AL East that season, too, against the Orioles. And then the Yankees, that was a big win for them against Oakland at the time. And I think the Orioles had lost that day to the Red Sox, if I'm not mistaken. And I just remember being at that game and looking at my phone to see the Red Sox score. And then they're showing it at Yankee Stadium, too. And the place was going crazy. So it was just a memorable moment for me. Do you remember that game at all?
It's actually been a while. What year was that? I'm trying to think.
2012.
What year was it?
2012. It was Jeter's last season in terms of like great production.
Oh, right. 2012, I feel like I get lost in that era because, like, it was a really dissatisfying era of Yankees baseball. I feel like from 2009 to, like, from 2010 to 2016 was just, like, a dark hole. Like, I didn't really enjoy it too much.
Yeah, that's true. I like this era a little bit better in terms of, like, the
Yeah.
success in the games and whatnot, but, yeah, that was just a memorable one for me because of the Yankees at the time, like where they were in the regular season, and I was at the game, so it was just a personal pick for me with that one. And the fact that it was my first game at the new stadium.
I have some clips too. You'll see.
Yeah, my number 2, Gary Sanchez 3-run home run, top of the 9th inning, and Ken Giles punches the wall or punches his glove. Remember that?
Yeah, that one I'll never forget. That was a great one.
Yeah, I had to throw that one on there because it was a big regular season win at the time. The Yankees, it was the year after they lost to the Astros. The year the Astros cheated. It was the next year in 2018. It was Aaron Boone's first year. And I remember Severino pitched an absolute gem that day. I don't remember if it was Cole or Verlander going for the Astros that day, but I remember Severino pitched out of his mind. He was brilliant. And then Sanchez hit that big home run. Yankees won 3-0. So that was my pick.
Hello?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, okay, sorry, I had some connection issue for a second. But I think it had to be JV because Cole didn't come to Houston until after they cheated, basically. Like, after it was admitted that they cheated in 2017.
Right. But yeah, this was 2018. This game was 2018. Cole might have been on the Astros by then, but I think that he oh wait a minute, he wasn't on the Astros. He got traded in the 18 offseason, right? The 18-19 offseason?
Yeah.
So he was not traded the same year as Stanton.
No, Garrett was after G. Yeah, definitely.
Okay. I thought that Cole got traded the same offseason as Stanton. So that was a mistake on my part. So it had to have been JV in that game.
Definitely. Yeah, I remember that one. I'll never forget. That's a memorable one.
And my number 1 happened this season. I'm gonna make you guess.
It's gonna be the 60. For me, it's the 60, and I was there, and I'm gonna give you this is one of mine. I saw it, 60 in the walk-off grand slam for Stanton. Is that your top one?
Nope. That's a good one though.
Yeah, that's in my tops because I was just there, so that's recency bias, but I think deserved recency bias.
I was at this game. That's my number 1.
Okay, I think I know which one. Is it the Hicks walk-off or the Judge walk-off against Houston?
Hicks ties it, Judge hits the single. Yup.
I had a feeling. I knew it was the Houston series.
Yup. The Thursday night, I was there. Hicks ties it with the homer, and then Judge wins it with the single. I thought about the grand slam by Stanton. I thought about even the Donaldson grand slam, even though that was in the swoon. And I thought about even the Judge walk-off homer against Houston this year. There's a couple I thought about, but I had to go with the game I was at. I mean, that really showed me something that the Yankees came back against the team that's the favorites to go to the World Series. So I had to put that there. And the stadium was rocking that night.
Yeah, it definitely was.
Yeah, is there any that you thought about that I didn't mention?
I think you had the one I was going to say. The Stanton Grand Slam, because I went to that at Fenway Park, so that's in there for me. The one that we just spoke about is definitely in there. And I'm trying to think about some other good ones. I mean, there's been some good walk-offs. I mean, even the Judge Romano walk-off was good.
That was a good one. I forgot about that.
Yeah, so it's been a lot. You could even say yesterday, even though actually it wasn't a win, we lost 3-62. So yeah, I think that just about covers the regular season. I mean, we haven't won a lot of divisions recently either, so it's been tough. But we had a lot of walk-offs. 2009, there was a ton of them. But yeah, I think the main ones for me is Stanton, and then one we just saw recently.
Yeah, and then the Stanton Grand Slam in Fenway is another good one. One I thought about putting on the list, but I didn't do it. Was remember they were down big at home against the Orioles. They were getting booed, and Matt Holliday wasn't Matt Holliday the one that hit the walk-off homer in that game?
No, that's Holliday had a walk. I don't know if Holliday was with us then, but I remember another honorable mention one is Holliday's walk-off at Fenway Park, like 14 or 15 innings. Well, not walk-off, but game winner because we were at Fenway.
I vaguely remember that, but I thought Matt Holliday had a walk-off home run against the Orioles. We were down big. I remember everybody was booing, and I don't remember who started for the Yankees today. Maybe it was Sabathia, but I remember it was a Friday night at the stadium, and they came back, and like Judge had a couple homers, Sanchez went deep, and then Matt Holliday, I think, won it. I could be wrong though.
Yeah, I gotta check that one. I remember Machado was on Baltimore back then, obviously. I don't know if we had Holiday then. You might be right, actually. What year was it?
17.
Was it 17?
Very early in 17. I don't say late April. It was before we realized that the 2017 Yankees were going to be good.
Right. Okay, I'm looking at it now. It was the 14-11 one. Yeah, you are right. You're right. It's Holiday.
Walk-off homer, 3-run homer, right?
Yeah, you called it.
Another one that, like, I had in my head was even Teixeira's walk-off grand slam. Remember that?
Yeah, that's a good one.
And speaking of Teixeira, spoiler alert, he's heavily involved in one of my top 5 postseason wins.
Yeah, Teixeira has a lot of good postseason memories, too, in 2009.
Yeah, so let's go to the postseason list. Number 5. Here's one of my all-time favorite ones. It's from 2012. It's just funny because it was so unexpected. Raul Ibanez walk-off Game 3 against Baltimore.
Yeah, that was a really good one. I do enjoy that one. That was a good moment for sure. He carried us that postseason against the Orioles, but after that, we fell flat. He was like the only person hitting. Like, they couldn't hit anything. I think that's because we lost Jeter. Like, we were just shook.
Yeah, I think, I personally think that Tiger series, if Jeter doesn't get hurt, that goes 6 or 7, because I think the Yankees just threw in the towel after that.
After that, yeah.
But even Jeter was hitting a little bit, but he wasn't Jeter in the playoffs. He was nursing an injury, I thought, because remember before that playoffs, like he got hurt in Fenway or something?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, the offense was dead. Ibanez was the offense, like, for the series. And, that's what I was thinking. Like, I knew Jeter was compromised.
Yes, and then he obviously fractured the ankle, and the Yankees went to tank. Number 4 on my list. Speaking of Mark Teixeira, his walk-off home run against the Twins after A-Rod ties it 2009 ALDS Game 2.
Yeah, that's a good one against Joe Nathan and stuff, and we always own the Twins. That's up there for sure.
I wish the Twins won the division this year instead of the Guardians.
Yeah, I know. I was hoping the Twins would get in there again, too.
Yeah, but we'll talk about the Yankees postseason at the end of the show.
Sounds good.
Yeah, so number 3 on this list. It's one of the more recent postseason moments. 2017 ALCS Game 3 comeback against the Astros.
Yeah, that's a huge... I was at that... No, I wasn't at the React. I went to Game 3 that year. That was the one that we had the Gary Sanchez double in the gap, right?
Oh, that was Game 4. My bad.
Yeah, Game 4 is the one you were referring to, right?
Yes, that's my mistake. Oops. Yes, Game 4. The Sanchez double in the gap was Game 4. Game 3, we blew him out.
Yeah, I was at that one. I was going to say, I remember. That was good, yeah. And then,
But yes, Game 4 was when they were down 4-0, and then Sanchez hit the double in the gap.
Yep.
That was a great game. I just remember being out watching that game, and I thought the Yankees were cooked, and they came back, and then I'm like, holy crap, they might actually win this series. This might be meant to be.
Yeah, I remember that for sure. Like, we all thought we had it when we won Game 5.
Yeah. like, I thought Game 4 was such a special moment, so of course I had to put that in the top three, and of course Judge was involved too. Judge hit a big home run in that game.
Yeah. Yep, of course. We just couldn't win on the road, unfortunately. We didn't know what else was going on at the time, but they couldn't hit Houston for whatever reason. So, those are good ones for sure.
Yes, and then number 2, 2009 World Series Game 3. I just remembered that as the game where Andy Pettitte got a single.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I had to include that. You know how I feel about Andy. I love him. And he got a huge hit in a series in Philadelphia. They went into that 1-1 because they got blown out at home in Game 1. They bounced back Game 2, and then pressured Game 3. Pettitte gets the big hit. Was that the game where A-Rod hit the homer on the camera?
I'm trying to think. Or was that Game 2 now? No, the camera was in Philly, so maybe.
It was in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Oppo Field homer in Philadelphia.
Yeah, I think that might line up. Let me check really quick.
Yeah, 2009 Game 3.
Yeah, I know that the Andy Pettitte base hit's pretty classic. That's for sure.
Yes, that was Game 3, the Andy Pettitte hit. Yes, A-Rod did homer in that game.
Yep, that makes sense. I remember. Yep, home run on review with the camera. Yep. Yeah, got it. You're right.
Yep, the A-Rod camera game, Andy Pettitte with the hit. And I remember being homesick that night. I was not feeling well that night, and I was like losing my voice cheering for the Yankees in bed.
Oh, God.
Yeah, and I think it was Halloween. Was it October? Yeah, it was Halloween, October 31st. Wow.
Yep.
That's so funny. And number 1 is the most obvious number 1 of any of these lists that I did. 2009 Game 6. To the second baseman Cano, the Yankees are back on top, was Joe Buck's call.
Yep, and then Mateki Matsui had the game of his life, and then he ends up winning the World Series MVP. We chased Pedro Martinez again, and then we haven't won ever since. But easily number 1 game for sure.
Yes, that was a great game, and Andy pitched in that game as well, and he was brilliant. And then, obviously, Matsui.
We forgot a big regular season game, and maybe because it wasn't at home at Yankee Stadium. How about last year when Corey Kluber hit the Rangers?
Oh yeah, that's a decent one. You're right, that was out on the road, and I didn't even think much of that. But yeah, the best one of the 2021 season was definitely the Stanton Grand Slam game, which I forgot to put on this list. And obviously that's against the Red Sox, so it has to mean something. And of course, we were on the verge of clinching a playoff spot then too. And the funny thing is, no one remembers this from last season. They almost missed the playoffs last year.
Yeah, not great. Yeah.
Weren't they 3 back of the wild card with like 2 weeks left?
Yeah.
I remember doing my morning podcast and going over percentages to make the playoffs, and I just remember doing the Yankees are 20-something%. That's not good. And then Toronto is in the 80s, and Boston was in the 70s, and it looked like it was going to be Toronto-Boston. And the Yankees swept Toronto. They swept Boston, I think, too, and then they ended up getting in over the Blue Jays.
Yeah, that's true. That's a really good point. Another big playoff win that we had that I really enjoyed was Game 5 when Aaron Hicks hit the homer off Verlander.
Yes, against the Astros, the Hicks homer off of Verlander. You know what? I think Hicks is going to have a big playoff moment. I really do. I feel like him and IKF are going to have big moments in the playoffs and shut up some people on Yankees Twitter. I really do.
Yeah. It'll be fun to see what happens. I'm trying to think of some other games that resonate with me in the playoffs of recent memory. 2020 we had when Stan hit the Grand Slam, let's go. But the stadium's empty, so I don't look at those games that much. Although Garrett Cole shoves against Cleveland, I remember, and then he had one good start against Tampa Bay. Last year we had nothing. 2019, Didi's. How do we forget Didi's home runs against Minnesota? Those got to be in there.
Yes, I was just about to mention Didi. That's funny that you said that because I remember the 2019 playoffs. People were clamoring to start Torres at shortstop over Didi and start DJ LeMahieu at second base over Glaber. And then first base, they wanted Mike Ford, and everyone thought Didi was overrated and he was bad. And then he went out and killed it in that playoffs, especially against Minnesota.
Yeah, that's true. I remember the controversy behind the same analytics didn't want him in there, and Aaron Boone actually shoved back for once and put him in there, and then he hit the 3-run homer and all that. And Tanaka had so many big moments for us, too. You know, another big game I really like is the 2019 game one against the Astros is a really good one in Houston. And Stan hit that homer off Greinke, too.
Oh, yeah. Didn't Tanaka start that game?
Yeah, he was lights out that day. I think he went like 6 scoreless.
Yeah. I remember that. That was a good one. I remember the game where they swept the Twins in Minnesota. And I called that. I said that they were going to sweep the Twins.
Sevy pitched like 4 or 5 innings.
Yeah, and then 2017, Game 5 against Cleveland's an honorable mention for a postseason win. That was a great game.
Oh, and then the Greg Bird homer, too, with Tanaka shoved also that day. When we won 1-0, and he hit it off Andrew Miller.
Yeah, talk about irony right there. Because obviously they were teammates, and then they traded Andrew Miller in the 2016 season.
Yeah, so that was a crazy situation. I'll never forget that one, because I actually went to that.
Yeah, and even regular season honorable mentions, even some of those games in which they won in 2016 when Sanchez was carrying them a little bit. That when him and Judge got called up and Sanchez was just on fire. It was kind of like Linsanity in a weird way. And
yeah, that was a good one for sure. So, do you want to talk about some other games? Do you want to fast forward to the playoffs now? What are you feeling?
All right, let's do a quick rapid fire, and then I gotta go to my guest that I'm gonna have for the Giants in terms of the best 5 wins.
All right, sounds good. Let's do it.
All right, so rapid fire. Your thoughts on the 2-2 Jets?
I'm pretty happy right now. You know, I mean, we went 1-2 with Flacco. Last week was good. Big gut check time this week to see if we could actually go over 500 for once.
Yes, and I kind of like your chances on Sunday. Don't want to tip my hand.
I'm trying not to get too excited, but I'm pretty hyped. Like, it's a big moment for sure. I just hope we can win.
I don't want to tip my hand, but I like your chances, especially without Tua.
Yeah, we'll see. We shall see.
Yes, do you think your Jets or my Giants will finish with a better record this year?
Shit. I'm gonna say, you know what? I would say Jets, but the reason I want to say Jets is because I don't know what's up with Daniel Jones' health and stuff. Like, I'm a little worried about that for the Giants. So we'd had Zach banged up too, but I think you can agree the Giants are definitely playing over their heads at 3-1. The Jets are kind of like in the middle somewhere. I don't know what we are yet either.
That's a tough one, but I'm going to say Giants only because I think the coach is better.
That's fair. Yeah, I'll give you that one.
But I would not be shocked if it was the Jets, especially if Zach stays healthy and Jones isn't healthy. Then I would not be surprised at all if it's the Jets.
Yeah, I know the schedules are going to get tougher for the Giants, and the Jets are getting tougher too. So I think it's going to be really close, honestly.
I think it's going to be close too. Did you watch the Knicks last night at all?
No, I wasn't able to, unfortunately.
I had it on before the Yankee game. I watched the first half. That's it. Because I knew that Judge was potentially going to, we're going to get the Judge in a second, but I knew Judge was potentially going to be making history last night. So I watched the first half, and as soon as it went to halftime, it was 8 o'clock, and I switched over to the Yankees. What do you think about the Knicks this year? Do you think they can bounce back and make the playoffs, or at least a play-in?
Yeah, you know, I think they could be like a playoff team or like a low, maybe like a 7 or 8 seed. Like, yeah, you know what? I'll put them in the play-in. I can't say much more than that right now until I see it. But I'll at least give the optimistic approach of a play-in.
Yeah, so you feel the same way about me and James. We both said play-in on the podcast last night for the Knicks. I think it's either going to be 8 or 9.
To make me think otherwise.
I think they're going to be 8th or 9th in the East. I'm leaning 9th.
Yeah, the East is tough.
The East is so good this year. And before we get into the big question I've been asking everybody, where were you when Judge hit the big home run last night?
I was actually I was actually driving home. Unfortunately, I knew I was going to do it to myself because um, I heard. So I got the Sterling call. At least I knew it was going to happen because I wasn't home. So I set it up. I took up for the team. I'm like, he's going to get in the first at bat because I can't be there for the first at bat. I'm like, yeah, well, no. So it happened.
I heard the K call. I was home and I had the TV on loud just in case he did it, and I screamed, and I was very excited. And I think that both Sterling and Kay had wonderful calls. Did you see the boy or the kid that fell trying to grab Judge's home run?
Yeah, I saw the person try to jump in, and I'm assuming that they were going in case someone dropped it. But yeah, that was pretty crazy.
All right, and the last item on rapid fire. How far do you think the Yankees go?
I'm gonna be an optimistic fan and say we go all the way. Although my gut was inside and I was gonna be unbiased, I'm very worried about getting past the Astros still in the ALCS. But I feel like the worst case scenario that no one wants to hear is that the Yankees lose in the ALCS. But I'll say if we get past that moment, that we'll win the World Series.
I'm gonna say that it's probably the ALCS, but I would not be shocked or surprised at all if they ended up winning it all, because I think there's a chance that the Astros offense for once goes cold in October. No Correa, no Springer. Like, when are those absences going to come back to bite the Astros?
Well, the thing is that they pick, their team is a lot different. It's a good point. It's going to be interesting to see how Mancini and Christian Vasquez factor in because they've hurt us in the past in the AL East.
Right.
It's not the same. It's not the same bunch, though, for sure. Yordan Alvarez has also been banged up a lot, so that's something to pay attention to. And they still have Bregman and Altuve, but there's no Correa, there's no Springer. You have Jeremy Pena, the rookie. He's an all right hitter, but he's nothing close to what Correa was. And you know what a beast Correa was in the playoffs. So it's really a matter to me if the Yankees can hit the Astros pitching, because I think the Yankees can hold them down with their offense. They can hold down the Astros offense. We've seen them do it before, but the problem is we seem to come up empty against their starting pitching a lot.
Yup. Exactly. I'm worried about the offense against the Astros. More afraid of the Guardians or the Rays. I say Tampa Bay.
I'm actually going to go. I'm going to go the other way with you.
Ooh.
Surprisingly. I'm going to give you some devil's advocate here. And I actually think the Guardians are going to win because I think they're better. I think Tampa Bay is very beat up, and I don't think it's the same old Rays. They're playing terribly right now, too. I think they're like 7-18 during a stretch or something, something really bad. And they're just really injured, and their pitching's in shambles. There's no Brandon Lau. There's no more Austin Meadows. They got Wander Franco, but the team doesn't. I might sound foolish, but I'm not that worried about Tampa Bay.
I'm just worried about them because they beat us 2 years ago. I know they're worse. I get it. Franco wasn't on that team in 2020. I feel like if Franco was there, they beat the Dodgers. But I'm a little worried about the Rays. I think the Guardians are frauds. I could be completely wrong. The reason why I think the Guardians are frauds is because we swept them 2 years ago, and they're worse now than they were 2 years ago, and Lindor's not there anymore.
I understand that standpoint, too. I actually like what the Guardians do, but here's the good thing about facing both the teams. They don't hit homers, either of them. And when you don't hit homers in the playoffs, you don't win.
Yeah, that's good for Garrett Cole.
29th in home runs.
That means expect the great Garrett Cole series.
Yeah, he's been good against both teams.
And he's been good against both teams, you're right. His best game's been against the Rays.
Both of those teams.
I feel like he's been great against the Rays. The team that he's owned since being a Yankee has been the Rays, to me.
Yeah, except the Choi incidents here and there. But since the Choi incidents are gone now, it seems like, that's probably why he has been good against those teams, because they don't hit home runs. Like, if he doesn't go with the home rate, he's good. And thankfully, there's no Boston in the playoffs because he can't pitch against them.
Right, exactly.
So I'm very happy we don't have to see the Red Sox.
Yeah, that's very true. Is there one more thing I want to mention about the Guardians and the Rays, or no? I think that I really think it's going to be an interesting October. Before we go, how about the Mets? Do you think the Mets can potentially make a run?
I think the Mets are screwed, honestly, after what happened to them. I wouldn't be shocked if they lose to the Padres. I think they'll beat San Diego, but I feel like the Dodgers are going to wipe the floor with them if they even get that far.
Yeah, I'm feeling the same way, but at the same time, I wouldn't be stunned if they took the Dodgers to 5 because what if Scherzer and DeGrom turn on? I could see the Dodger offense getting cold. Like Bellinger's not the same. Gallo's been okay with the Dodgers. I mean,
Yeah, you can't rely on Gallo, obviously.
the guy on the Dodgers though that I think's gonna have a big postseason obviously is gonna be Mookie. Mookie's just built for the moment, but Bellinger isn't Bellinger for some reason. I feel like he hasn't been good for a couple years now, but I think the Dodgers are beatable. I really do, but I just don't know who is
Yeah,
going to beat them.
the Dodgers aren't the perfect team. I know their bullpen's a little vulnerable. Their starting pitching might be questionable come October. Is Tyler Anderson going to be the same beast he's been in the playoffs? I love Urias, obviously. I know Kershaw's been a little banged up, so you have to see how he's going to end up doing. And then Gonsolin has been a stub for them. So they still have their horses. My worry with the Mets is that offense looks terrible without Marte, honestly.
Right.
It doesn't seem like he's going to be ready to go.
Right, the Marte, that's a big loss. I feel like if Marte doesn't get hurt, they win the division.
Yeah, that's fair to say. I think you're right, honestly. They just blew it by losing to a lot of bad teams. Like, I know the Braves got really hot, but the Mets had so many chances to put them away playing terrible teams. They just lost.
Right. All right, Julian. It was a pleasure to have you on today. I really hope this is a great October for us with the Yankees. I feeling pretty good, especially against the Guardians Rays combo. Everybody's like trying to talk me like out of the Rays, and I'm looking foolish for thinking that the Rays might have a chance against us, but I hope I'm wrong, and let's go Yankees.
Yeah, I'll say one last thing quick before I go. I mean, the thing that makes me feel good is that the Yankees were able to beat Tampa Bay even when they were playing terribly. Like, the Yankees were playing their worst ball of the year, and they still found a way to beat Tampa.
Yeah, the first great series they had after the swoon was home against Tampa Bay. They beat us, and Hicks had those two boneheaded plays. I feel like after that moment, the Yankees turned it around.
Yeah, after Jeter Day, and I was there too. As soon as they got through that, they were good to go. They just were one day late, unfortunately.
That's right. It was Jeter Day.
But just like Capone and Neal Day, they got it going. But yeah, Madison, thanks. It's been fun.
Yeah. All right. Talk to you soon.
Have a good one.
You too.